Ahoy there folks, I'm Captain Benzie and welcome back to another video for EVE Vanguard, the new first-person shooter being created by EVE Online developers CCP Games. Yesterday I put out a video going over an email that I'd received, basically detailing some feedback and some things that they'd learnt from the tech test that they've just done a couple of weeks ago. And I mentioned there that there was going to be an update out later that day or early this morning, depending on what time zone you're in. Well, I've had that update, so we're going to go through that email and talk about exactly what is happening and how you can get involved in testing this brand new gaming experience. I'm really excited about EVE Vanguard. I want to share all of this with you folks, and I'd love to hear from you all what you think about the game and what excites you. And there are going to be some actual bits during this as well where I want to address some of the ridiculous comments I've been getting. I've had some really cool comments, some very interesting good points from people who are concerned about certain aspects of the game, but there is just a wave of absolute ludicrousy that I will address in a moment. Now, if you do enjoy this video, if you learned something from it, drop a like, drop a comment. Both of those things really help my channel by telling YouTube to recommend my videos to more people. That really helps me out, so thank you to everyone who spends that brief second to hit like and drop a comment. If you do want to be absolutely amazing, go the extra mile to help support this channel financially, you can get your name in the stars at the end of every video by supporting me on Patreon, or if you're more of a one-off tip kind of person, then you can head down to the PayPal link in the description down below and just drop a small donation in there as well. It always helps out. Every little dollar means the world to me. Finally, if you are new to EVE and EVE Vanguard, come join the Catskull Community Discord, linked in the description of this video as well. I know there's a load of folk on there who are very excited about Vanguard and want to start talking about it. I do actually need to open up a dedicated EVE Vanguard channel there as well, but we'll get to that later. For the time being, the EVE Online chat will be good enough for it. Anyway, so First Strike event, 7th of December to 11th of December. That is a 4-day window in just over a week's time, I think. How does that work? I just need to check my calendar quickly. We are on the 22nd today, so it's 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time, this will start Thursday the 7th of December through to Monday the 11th of December. What is going on? So, it is with incredible excitement that we're emailing to inform you that EVE Vanguard, the new first-person shooter module for EVE Online, will be coming online 7th of December for a limited time event. First of all, FPS module. This is not a standalone game. You will be, well, it sort of is. You will be able to download it via the new EVE Online launcher. There will be an option to obviously jump into EVE Online or jump into EVE Vanguard. There'll be two separate downloads from as I gather it. So if you're an EVE Online player and you don't care about Vanguard, you don't need to add all of those extra files and storage to your PC, and vice versa. If you just want to play Vanguard and you don't give a darn about EVE Online, you can largely ignore that as well. First Strike, running until 11th of December, is the first time that EVE Vanguard will be publicly playable and offers players the ability to add to the ongoing chaos and corruption caused by the recent pirate insurgencies in New Eden from the ground. So this is all linking into the lore and the backstory of the new Havoc expansion involving the Deathless. So if you've been playing EVE Online, and if you're watching my channel, part of me assumes that you do to a certain extent keep updated on the news in EVE Online, then we've just had the opening of Zarzak. The Deathless has been recruiting Angel Cartel and Guristas pirates to join his cause. We don't really know what's going on there, but we've just had the Havoc expansion launch where now you can join the Guristas pirates or the Angel Cartel and go out into the various faction warfare zones and start blowing people up, which is just so cool. I love it to pieces. It's been having so much fun with this. To be eligible to participate, an active Omega count is required, and players will be able to access the EVE Vanguard directly from the new EVE launcher, and that is a link there that will allow you to download the new launcher. I do actually really like the new launcher. It's the one that I'm using for the most part. It's worth pointing out that it does log you straight into a character. That's just worth considering. You can choose which character you log into before you actually have to enter the game. It saves you kind of going, oh, open up EVE Online, pick this character, log in. You can just go, bam, I want that character. And when you launch, it'll take you straight through. But there are some risks involved in that if you're logging into old characters who may not be docked in stations, for example. Omega packages are currently 20% off in the EVE store until 28th of November, so it's a great time to upgrade and make yourself eligible. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. 20% off is a decent amount off straight away just to help you get involved in this test. And I've seen a lot of people getting very angry about this, and I get it. I get it. It feels like you're missing out, right? If you are not an Omega player, then you don't get to take part in this test. It is as simple as that. And I don't mean that to sound dismissive, but that's clearly what CCP wants here. I've had a lot of people sort of complaining that, oh, they're trying to monetize the test. No, because they're not making you pay for the test. If they wanted to monetize the test, they would make you pay for it separately, like a £15 entry fee or whatever. That's not what they're doing here. What they're saying is that they want people to be active Omega. Essentially, the way I read this, and again, I'm well aware that I'm going to get a lot of hate from certain people just for pointing out the facts of this, or at least my opinion of this. In my opinion, the previous tech test excuse me, was directed primarily at existing first-person shooter players. A lot of the people I know who were in the test were people who weren't necessarily a big part of the EVE community, but were part of other first-person shooter communities with a passing interest in this, and they seemed to get a bit more of a direction there. So they were looking for sort of that first-person shooter feel in the first test. What I read from this is that they want active and engaged EVE Online players coming in next. And you also don't... It's one of those weird things. People think that, oh, well, you know, just let everyone come in, you're going to get better feedback. No. 99% of people who play a test don't actually even bother to give feedback. What you are doing here is basically setting an entry point. This limits the amount of people that are coming in, therefore the amount of feedback that you can possibly get if everyone is going to give feedback. You don't want just anyone and everyone to give it. You want a certain test group to be able to look at it. It's why we have focus groups and things, and why QA is the way it is in games design. What they are saying here is we want active, engaged EVE Online players to come in on this. I can't imagine many people are going to buy an Omega subscription just for 4 days of testing a pre-beta game. I don't see that happening, and I don't think CCP is stupid enough to think that that's what they could do here. I don't think they're trying to monetize the test, they're trying to limit access to the test so they don't just have a whole load of people swamp it and get very little out of it. If you are active Omega, chances are you're involved in the game and you've got an interest in what's going on. If you're going to pony up for Omega just for this, you're probably going to give feedback, right? It's a way of just kind of limiting the amount of feedback that you have to go through to figure out what is valid feedback and what is invalid feedback. And oh boy, that's a conversation to have with people, that there is such a thing as invalid feedback. Anyway, that is why that exists. Getting angry at CCP that, oh, they're trying to charge me. No, don't be an idiot. And quite frankly, as awful as this sounds, I just feel that's really entitled to sit there and go, oh, well, you know, I'm not an Omega player, I think it's crap that I don't get to test this. Like you're some god-given right to test it. It's a test. It's a test for a beta of a video game. A game that's not even got an announcement of when it comes out of beta, well, goes into beta yet. So, I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit aggro on that, but that's just how I feel, you know? I think it's incredibly entitled to get aggressively angry. I can understand being disappointed, and I would be too if I really wanted to get in on this, but, you know, wasn't an Omega player. I just think getting aggressive about it and getting defensive and sort of angry at CCP is not the way forward in this. Anyway, we're rambling on a completely, once again, one of my tangents that's more of a fractal. EVE Vanguard is currently in early development and is being created in conjunction with the community. First Strike is the first step in our Founders Access program, provided as added value to our Omega players who will help us shape the next decade of EVE Online. There you go, black and white. They are looking for people who are actively involved in like the EVE Online community and the game, because that's the side of things they're testing this time. They want to get these people's opinion rather than just the people who spend all day playing Valorant and Call of Duty. They want to make sure that the EVE Online community are the ones actively shaping it. Be sure to check out vanguard.eveonline.com for more information, which will be revealed in the lead up to First Strike, and I'll be keeping eyes there. If anything big happens, expect videos, so make sure you are subscribed with that notification bell clicked and set to all notifications. Event starts 7th of November, 12 o'clock midday noon UTC. Event ends on the 11th December, same time, 12 o'clock midday UTC. Ahead of First Strike, a tech test will be run on the 26th of November, with servers supporting players in North America and Europe. Invites will be sent out later this week, so keep your eyes peeled for when it lands. If you haven't already gone to the Vanguard website that I've just mentioned, do so. You can sign up for these emails. That's how you'll find out if you're lucky enough to be one of the ones who gets involved when that comes in on the 26th. And if I'm in there and I'm allowed to record, awesome! Let's do that. So, We then have received some great quotes from a survey following the last playtest. Here are a few of our favourites. I think these are the same as we saw before. I'm just quickly skim reading those three. Yep. We'll be thrilled to be embarking on a journey to craft an innovative EVE FPS experience with you and hope to see you in-game very soon, either in the tech test on 26th of November or during the first Strike event starting the 7th of December. So there it is, folks. If you are keen on testing EVE Vanguard, make sure you are up to date with your Omega, that you have Omega running between the 7th and 11th of December, and you'll be able to jump in and give this really cool looking game a go. And I mentioned as well that there are just some bits of feedback I wanted to kind of address. One of the things that I get a lot in the comments on my EVE Vanguard videos is how this game is doomed to fail because CCP are freaking idiots and don't have a clue how to create a first-person shooter, as evidenced by the fact that Dust 514 failed and Nova never really saw the light of day. First of all, once again, Dust didn't fail. You created a game that went onto a old piece of hardware. PS3 was basically falling out of fashion at the time that Dust 514 launched. Also, PS3 is not what people are playing EVE online on. So it was a step outside of the community. It was older tech, sort of a weird transition phase, and not even on the tech that the majority of the people who would be interested in the game perhaps were actually using, and there was no PC client for it. I get why they did it, because obviously Sony would have ponied up a decent sum of money to assist with development. And honestly, it didn't fail. It lasted 3.5 years despite those issues, and it had some incredible moments. Like, looking at Dust 514 as a failure, I don't know, that to me smacks at the same kind of person who gets super angry that their venture that they were AFK mining in got blapped whilst they were in high sec by a fleet of Catalyst gankers or whatever. Like, I don't know, there's a part of me that just thinks you're completely missing the point there. It did not fail, and there were massive lessons learnt from that. Nova was an attempt to try and learn those lessons and move them into a different environment. Yeah, okay, I will be the first to admit, it didn't work. That doesn't mean it won't for future. Making mistakes is how we grow. We're EVE Online players, we know this. Losing a ship means you made a mistake and it's how we grow, right? So why do we get angry at CCP for making mistakes and then we expect them to just categorically fail on everything in the future? I don't know, I think making mistakes is actually a sign that they're going to get it right this time. Plus the fact that the footage we've seen and the feedback that we've read all sounds really positive. Not to mention that if you go back to like when they announced this at FanFest, all the stuff around this is that EVE Online is looking forward into the future, into 10 years more of EVE Online and what they can do to grow this game, grow this universe, and get the players involved. I don't think you would announce that if you were just going to throw together a little piecemeal thing and hope that it kind of stuck and make all of the usual errors. Like, I get it, people were saying about the always-on voice chat being like, oh, so many games have tried this and everyone hates it. Yeah, but there are still reasons to have it. There are plenty of things that people hate in games that exist for a good reason. Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head straight away, other than, for example, things like anti-easy cheat. You know, easy anti-cheat even. People don't like this stuff, but it's there for a reason, right? There are plenty of things in games that we don't necessarily like, but are there for a reason. Level caps, that kind of thing, like limitations on what you can and can't do in the game. Things exist for reasons, and I honestly think that EVE Vanguard is going to be one of these games that CCP are putting a lot of effort in, purely because Dust 514 was a fantastic game that a lot of people hold very dear to their hearts, including the developers of EVE Vanguard, might I point out. They're well aware that Nova failed, and they're well aware that all eyes are on them with Vanguard, and it's the start of a third decade of EVE Online. They want to get this right. They are going to do what they need to do. Getting angry at them because, oh, they did always on voice chat in a test. It's a test. You do things in a test to see whether or not it works. That's experimenting. That's the entire point. You sit there and you go, right, okay, we're going to do this because we think this could be a good idea. But we want to open it to feedback. So you bring in players and players then say, actually, no, we don't like this. And you go, okay, cool. We've learned from that. We'll adjust. Why would you get angry at someone for doing that? That's good game development. You're trying things and accepting feedback. Crappy game development is just to kind of go, well, every other game does it this way, so that's the way we're going to do it too. Because then you get absolute fuckwits come onto the internet and go, why are all the games the same? And then complain when anything tries to do something a little bit different. So I don't know. I'm really hopeful for EVE Vanguard. Like, I'm not a first-person shooter player by any stretch of the imagination. I suck at these kind of games, but I am super hype about this. It looks a lot of fun. It looks unique. It looks like it's going to bring back ideas from Dust 514. It looks like it's going to link into one of my favorite gaming universes in the entire universe, in the world, in, you know, EVE Online. You know how much I love this game, for crying out loud. I love the lore. I love everything about this. So getting to have more of it from a different viewpoint, even in a genre that I don't really get on with, yeah, I'm down with this. Like, when's the EVE real-time strategy coming? I'll be all over that as well. Give me EVE Stellaris or, you know, EVE StarCraft. I think there's a lot of cool things you could do with this intellectual property. But this one excites me. This excites me, and getting angry that the developers aren't doing everything absolutely perfect during pre-alpha, I don't know. I think that just really grates me a little bit, and it just makes the people commenting like that look absolute idiots. Like, yeah, congratulations. You've just figured out what the word beta means. It means not yet complete. Anyway, I'm hoping that you guys are going to jump into the test between the 7th and the 11th of December with me, that we're all going to have a fantastic time, test the ever-living crap out of this game, find out how it ticks, talk about what we like and dislike about it in a productive, constructive way to make this the best game it can be. I love it when a developer sits there and says, actually, we want you to test, we want to invite you in to get feedback, because it means they want to listen. I don't like the sort of new thing on Steam that everything goes into early access for like 3 years and they still charge for it. To me, that's just monetizing while you're making the game, and that's not what's going on here. I like this development tactic, I like this strategy, I do have a lot of faith in this project, and I can't wait to see me get to jump into a video and go, you know what, guys? I was right. Anyway, folks, that's about all from me today. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Hope to see you in the First Strike event. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden!